Hey everyone, welcome to Unshakable. We started last night from our lounge in the C3 Centre. Now we're at our lounge at home. Things have changed, things have moved on since last night. Quick update on our C3 care stuff that we're doing. Love thy neighbour, I love your neighbour. Do you want to just say where we're up to, Angie, on that?
Yeah, we've given out 77 hampers, feeding probably about 308 people so far, which the response has been absolutely amazing. The coffee shops, the restaurants, obviously they're starting to close down now, but they're giving a lot of surplus food, and some, as of yesterday, were saying they still wanted to give some supplies. So at the moment, it seems that there's still food coming our way in order for us to distribute. So it's been great to be able to help people. People have been ringing in. People have. We try to deliver to people who are in isolation, and so we've been able to deliver to people's doorsteps and help people out, which has been really great to do. Yeah, it's been good.
Good. But tonight we thought we would speak to Byron, who is our worship pastor. As he's waving. Byron only joined us in February, and then this pandemic started. I don't think the two are related. So, hey Byron, you did a fantastic job at the weekend with our worship team. I think we should just let everyone know we filmed that before the actual new recommendations or lockdown came from the government, so we weren't breaking any rules there. We got a lot already done, but I think you did a great job. You brought with you a lot of skills, Byron, I think, to the team. Tell us a little bit about your background so as we can get to know you a bit better.
Sure. So, so I'm from Australia. I grew up in Melbourne, and I always kind of had a love for music. I started learning the guitar at age 12. I started playing in my youth ministry that I was at the time at age 13. And so music and worship was always a really big part of what I did. And so kind of continuing that journey through school and things like that. After school, I ended up going and studying audio production. And so those two worlds of studying music and performance kind of collided with music production. And those two worlds kind of gelled together to enable me to have a career in the music industry, recording bands and mixing and lots of different stuff like that. But along the way, in all of that journey, worship was always a really big part of what I did. So continuing to serve in my local church, whether that be on guitar or vocals or whatever, leading worship, writing songs as well. So it's been a long journey. Been a great journey. In 2012, I moved to London, and I fortunately was able to apply for a Maltese citizenship, so it enabled me to stay here, which was really good. And in that time, I got plugged into Hillsong London. I got some really great opportunities to do some amazing stuff with them, and really gained a massive amount of experience over the last 8 years or so. A massive amount of experience where all these different skills over the years and training and studying really kind of played into that. So and then obviously we, as of February, as you said, we made the transition to Cambridge to join you guys at the C3, and that's been a really cool journey so far. And well, so far it's only been the shortest journey ever, but it feels like a long time. We started coming up through December as well, just to kind of get a feel for the place and meet the team, and that was really good for us just to establish some relationships first. Then we kind of hit the ground running in February.
Yeah, but you had a month in between back in Australia, didn't you, with all the fires that were there?
Yeah. So went back we had a trip planned to go to Australia, visit family, and that was great. But obviously in that time was where the bushfires were breaking out in Victoria, New South Wales, and kind of all over the country. Fortunately for us, we were in a location that was about 200 kilometers away from a lot of that catastrophe that was happening. But we still, Melbourne was still covered in smoke for days on end. So there were some days where we couldn't leave the house. It did feel a little bit like the apocalypse. You had storm, you had. So Australia's a great place to go. Like, you should go there. Definitely, still go there. Not everyone in Britain thinks that everything in Australia can kill you, and it probably can, but I think you can die anywhere, right?
Yeah, that's true. Our internet went a bit unstable then, so I don't know whether that went, but if it did, it'll stay in there. This is,
Okay.
hey guys, whatever you're seeing tonight, we're just doing from our lounge. We're learning new skills as we go.
Yeah.
I've got my D. D stands for Dad.
I've got my A. Have I got an A?
Yeah, it's an A on the other side.
I've got my Star Wars mug.
Byron's got a Star Wars, so may the force be with you.
Cheers.
I'm also with you.
Anyway, back into what we were talking about. You said we. Just tell us who we are with your family.
So my wife, her name's Amy. We have a 1-year-old son whose name is Zeke, who's crying right now, and we also have a dog, Harry, as well. And he's great. He's 2 years old. He's awesome. So yeah, that's the family so far. Plans for a second, nothing initiated. But we'll see what happens after this pandemic.
Isolating, just keep away at this time.
Yeah. I think it's this time is probably a good time to not try.
Now it looks like you're in a really cool studio with your speakers there and that, but show us what really is happening in the rest of the room.
So today, last night when the announcement came through, four of us, Jamie, Henry, Josh, and myself, we rushed over to the C3 Centre to collect gear and data to still make church happen. So I have basically set up a mixing studio from the spare room in the house where we live. So it looks really, really cool. But then if I spin to the other side, you can see that it's my child's. So we're keeping it very real. Very, very real. But from here, at least I can continue to work from home. I can mix all the recordings and things like that we've done over the last couple of days for church. So we can still put out some high quality services, which is really good.
So people think that you only work Sundays when you're a worship pastor. What else does a worship pastor get up to?
Well, lots of coffee.
Yeah.
Eating chips and crisps and like lots and lots of stuff. No, there's I'm still probably figuring that out. I think the obviously only having really 1 month in the office with you guys before all this pandemic kind of broke out, that month for me was pretty full on with figuring out the job, figuring out some of my processes, and then building relationship with a whole bunch of people you've never met before as well. So as far as that goes, that was like a bit of a whirlwind. But the day-to-day can look like, preparing things for Sundays, i.e. things like set lists or backing tracks, organizing team for those Sundays, which is, if you don't have team, you don't have a worship team, if you don't have the people. And so things like that, organizing things for our team nights or our rehearsal nights, that could look like training or even videos. We've shot quite a lot of videos that are talking about various aspects of training in a worship team. And those things are cool because they can kind of live on the internet that people can return to, which is really good. So there's a lot of, sorry?
I was going to say, so what do you think for now? What's going to be your focus for the next few weeks, really? Because we're on lockdown, aren't we? So things are changing, yeah,
definitely. So the next few weeks, as I said, I've got all this stuff here now, so I can mix church recordings. So that's probably going to be the bulk of my existence, is going to be mixing those recordings and making sure that any other content that we've filmed sounds good. So whether that be post-production on existing stuff that we've already recorded. So that's going to be the bulk of what I'm doing. Then still just staying in touch with the team. I've set up on Instagram, the C3_worship team on Instagram, which is just a closed group for people who are serving on our team, where we can just come together and we can do things like tonight we're going to do an Instagram live, which will be Josh and I just chatting, being silly and things like that. But just finding ways to remain engaged with the team is really important. While so many people kind of do feel isolated, or they do feel like they've lost their routine per se, we still want to be finding ways to engage people and still building our community, really.
So have you got any advice for everyone listening in on engaging now we're online? I mean, I really do think that you guys did a superb job at the weekend, getting the team together and leading us. But Any tips that you can think of for people as they're engaging with the sung worship from the team that will be going out this weekend again?
Sure. Yeah, obviously the church right now globally looks very different to what it usually does. We've put ourselves in a fortunate position to record a lot of Sunday content in a couple of days. So we do have the quality services that we can put out for the next few weeks, which is great. As far as people receiving that, obviously it's going to look like, through their TVs and in their living rooms or on their laptops. All I would say is like it may look different, it may sound different, but the message is still exactly the same. Jesus is still on the throne. He's still Lord over all. So I would just say that, the key in all of this is that understanding that the presence of God isn't bound to a building. The presence of God isn't bound to bricks and mortar or a church gathering, that the presence of God actually is on the inside of each and every one of us. And so it's as simple as that. And, you won't have the surrounding lights and sound, or the band to drown out your bad singing. But the thing that you can do is just engage with what's going on, enjoy it. It's like I said, it looks different, sound different, but the message is the same. So yeah.
That's good. I saw one pastor put something out about going through their own normal routine. So like, don't stay in your pajamas, which is so tempting to do. Yeah. Get dressed, go to the service like you normally would, and sing. Don't just watch people singing. Engage yourself. Yeah. I have had reports back, or we have, haven't we, of people who said they really did feel they encountered God through the worship on the Sunday. Yeah. A few people wrote and said they were really overcome, especially that song we did, The Blessing, which I think is a real song in season.
It does feel like that song is very much a song for the moment we're living in right now. Definitely. I'm really proud of the team that we pulled together for pulling off songs like that and other stuff, because very little preparation time went into this. Recording all this worship. We recorded 3 sets on a Thursday night and we recorded 4 sets on a Sunday, with no rehearsal time for that, or just a little bit of preparation before we hit record, pretty much. So it was a really good effort by everybody involved. And I think for me as a worship leader was trying to be very conscious of like you're having to lead a camera, basically. You're and thinking of the people that are on the other side of the camera who are going to be watching on the screens. And so there was definitely there was some, I think the challenging thing was when you're leading worship to a congregation, there's energy in the room, right? So you can, and it would be the same for preaching, you get feedback from the room with how things are going. And so in a completely empty auditorium, it was kind of hard sometimes to establish how we were doing. But you just had to keep kind of reminding yourself, this is for people who are going to be in their living rooms, and leading very specifically for that.
Yeah, that's great. So we've got some stuff in the can, as it were, because I know you're working on it, post-production. Mm-hmm. What happens, because no one knows how long this is going to be. We don't know whether, I know Boris spoke about 3 weeks, but I do wonder whether that's just to lull us into a false sense of security, and it could be 6 weeks and 8 weeks.
Who knows, yeah.
Where could you see it going beyond? So say 12, 15 weeks in, our goal is to try and stay online and connected. Is there another way we can do things, or will we just keep using what we've got? Or what are some of the other ideas you might have?
Yeah, I think the great question. Put on the spot. Brilliant. It's fine. I think we have got so many mediums of technology to support what we're doing at the moment, and things like this. We've got cameras and microphones and stuff to make media with. So I think it will look, if once we, essentially if this goes on and we do run out of pre-recorded content, I just think back to, what was it like in the early church? It says that they met in houses and they shared food and they sung hymns together. They prayed and sung hymns. Now we might not be able to gather together.
Yeah.
We can still be reminded of, Paul and Silas in prison. You know, they didn't have any fancy equipment or any live stream or any, you know, any instruments backing them up, but they still, you know, were able to lift up praise that set a whole bunch of prisoners out. Well, hopefully not letting prisoners out, but you know what I mean. They, you know, the foundations of the prison were shaken. So I don't think there's anything stopping.
Guess what I was angling for is there ever any chance of me doing Shine Jesus Shine on my guitar?
Maybe I think I've got one of your stickers on this guitar case that I from your old band. So maybe it's time to put that back together.
That's it.
I was thinking online karaoke. You know, maybe you could lead us in karaoke or something.
Well, you know what, I have seen some worship leaders have just gone on to things like Instagram Live has been a really big tool for a lot of people lately, and a lot of people engaging with that stuff. So it is just, it's raw, it's real, it's, you know, recorded with no fancy equipment apart from a phone, and it's still leading people in worship, you know. And so there's stuff that we could do like that. You know, one idea that I had was that if we all had, you know, if a few different members of the worship team all had a decent camera and something to record with, we could record individually at home and then bring all these tracks together and bring all those videos together. So there are ways that we could do it. I think it's exciting. I actually think that this is an exciting time for the church because it's forcing them to innovate. It's forcing us to think differently, think outside the box. It's forcing us to focus more on relationship as well. You know, I think it's actually going to grow the church massively.
Yeah,
that's great.
Hey, I think we can probably leave it there. We don't want to go on too long. We're going to do this each night if we can. Just to say to everyone watching, it might not be every night. If we can't do it every night, we're not going to put too much of a pressure on ourselves. But that's our goal. Certainly 2 or 3 times a week to keep everyone connected. And I think we do want to say to you, Byron, in all seriousness about the weekend, you did a great job. You've been a real blessing to us in the time you've been in C3, which is very short, but hopefully we'll get some level of normality beyond here.
I'm excited for what that will look like. You know, just even thinking forward of like, you know, what could our church gatherings look like when we get the all clear to gather together again? I think that obviously, you know, you have various levels of engagement when it comes to a church service. And I think this could be a real wake-up call for a lot of churches of the privilege of meeting together and worshiping together. And so I think that it's going to cause a lot of people to come back to the church with a fresh perspective on it, for sure.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, it's good. Well, welcome to the team, Byron. This is your initiation month.
Yeah, exactly.
You've passed your appraisal, by the way.
Yeah. You get through this, you get through anything. Great. Well, we're going to leave you to do your post-mixing or wherever it is, post-production. God bless you.
Thank you.
We'll keep in touch and keep you back on here if we need to talk some more about these kind of things.
For sure.
All right.
Great.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye to everybody else as well. We're going to end our meeting now. Unshakable, we believe everything's being shaken around us, but the kingdom of God remains strong and steadfast and unshakable. God bless you. Remember,
wherever you are, you're C3. C3, wherever you are.